process that we do. So we've sent you a lot of emails from Campus Living. I think I can share now. Share content. And Karen, if you can confirm that we're seeing that, that'd be great. So unless you contracted in the last 2 weeks, you should have your RIM assignment. That RIM assignment's got your information about your what your next maybe is. Should have your RIM assignment, your roommate's information. That your assignment should have your link for your early drop-off. If you've done early drop-off already, or you still want to do early drop-off, you can still sign up. There's still some spaces. Last week, an email went out about move-in dates. So if you're doing early drop-off, you don't need to do move-in. If you're doing early drop-off, you're just going to return to campus on the 7th, 8th, and 9th of August, and you don't need to sign up for that. So you're either signing up for early drop-off or move-in. And there's lots more, but there's 2 separate emails. So if you go into your assignment email and see only early drop-off as an option, look for a second email about move-in dates sign up. And there are 2 different emails. And if you look at and you get on the move-in date and you're like, I don't see my early drop-off time, that's because there are 2 different links and 2 different emails. Then the assignment email has your assignment email and address, your roommate information if available. It will have the link for the link to our move-in page that has all the stuff about college products. If you haven't signed up for your loft yet, we are only doing sign up for lofts that we're not putting together now, because we don't want to be going into rooms and doing that extra work while it's got stuff in it. So just be knowing that if you sign up for a loft at this point, it's only going to be dropped off in your room. It won't be put together. You have a link in your Facebook group for your hall, which we're hoping you join if you have Facebook. And if you link for the drop-off, and does not have the link for move-in, so correction on that, it has the link for the drop-off. But we're going to keep sending you some emails over the next week or 2, so keep an eye on that. Move-in. So I'm going to cover move-in first, and then I'm going to cover a little bit about drop-off. Move-in has been moved up, as you know. It's going to be a little bit more difficult about move-in. So move-in is going to be a little bit more restricted, but drop-off is a little bit more wide open. And so that's why we encourage people to do the drop-off. You can drop off the 8 days in late July and August 1st. You can set up your room and then return like we just talked about. This move-in will be reserved time spots, so we have reserved those, and a lot of people have signed up for them, and we really appreciate you signing up for them. You can't occupy up to this point, so you're only coming to drop your stuff off. You can't stay. We've had some people ask about staying. You can't stay. We're not ready for you in that regard. But you're allowed to park near the buildings. You're going to check in. You're going to, step 1, you're going to check in at the, if you're on College Hill, you're going to check in at Gateway Hall. And if you're on West End or Central, you're going to check in West End Dining. And we're going to have some space laid out there to make sure that we're maintaining social distancing. And also, one of the things you want to do, if you've signed up for a morning, midday, or an afternoon window, what you're going to do there with that is your time spot might start at 9 a.m., but you don't have to be waiting there at 9 a.m. You can get there at 9:15, 9:30, even at 10 o'clock, and it's going to be okay. We're going to still be waiting for you, and you can stay a little after your 3-hour window. If you arrive right at 9 o'clock or right at noon or right at 3 o'clock, there might be a bit of a wait, and you don't want to deal with that. Also, when you arrive to do your check-in for even drop-off or for move-in, you're only welcome as a student. We don't want to hold your family coming up or trying to maintain social distancing. So bring your ID. So you need to bring some sort of governmental ID. And I know that a lot of students do not have their one card yet. Don't worry about that. Bring a driver's license. If you don't have anything else, bring your old high school ID. Bring some form of ID. Know your banner ID number. That's available on Pirate Port. You should have that information. It should have been part of your admissions packet, but know your banner ID. Slip it on a piece of paper in your wallet, wherever you're going to need it. You're going to need it once you're here on campus. So be ready to share your banner ID. So you're going to show up, you're going to get your key and your fob, and you might get 2 keys in some cases, but you're going to get a key and fob. And those key and fob are important. They're going to get you into your room. And that fob won't be needed that day because we're going to have the buildings unlocked for you, but you're going to need your key and your fob when you come back to campus. So you're going to move in, you're going to do your drop off, and then you're going to come back to return to campus if you're doing the drop off option, but you need to bring your keys back with you. Don't forget your keys. The keys, if you lose them, cost $150 to replace. $150. Mom and dad will, no one's going to be happy with you if you're spending $150 to replace keys you just got. You're going to be able to park near the halls. We're going to ask your families just respect that they use an actual parking spot, no fire lanes, no handicapped unless you've got a placard. Don't park in private spots, but anything else is wide open. So we just ask that you pick an actual parking spot and use that. We're sending reminders from the sign-in site that we use that have a generic ECU address. If you want an address to your building, your residence hall, use Google. Use Google Maps and pick out your building and use those directions, because if you use the link from the sign-in site, the reminder that it's sent you, it's a generic address for the university. It's only going to get you close to ECU, and it won't get you to your actual building. Those are the big things about the drop-off from the overall perspective. So when you're coming for drop-off, you're going to arrive to a location near your neighborhood service office. You're going to get the key and fob, then go back in your building and then move in. Your family can be there with you. That's the advantage of doing drop-off. You can have a few folks with you, still wearing masks, still only 1 family per elevator, still being socially distant from other family groups, but you can have a pretty normal move-in day otherwise. There will not be restaurants on campus open, so grab a meal here in Greenville, go to one of our local restaurants, get some takeout, whatever you'd like to do, you're welcome to do that as well. We will have water stations, and a lot of our buildings have bottle filling water fountains that are still operational. You can use those to fill them up. Do stay hydrated. It's going to be hot. It's August in Greenville, or it's late July in Greenville. It's going to be hot. The forecast is hot, period. The early drop-off dates, the university has a limited number of carts. So if you have a wagon or a beach cart or something like that at home, or a hand cart, bring it with you. It will always guarantee that you have one if you don't rely on ours. Now, we'll have some if you don't, but bring one if you can. We ask that your roommates not check in at the same time. Some of you have made some special requests related to this, namely you're already family friends, or you're actually brothers and your brothers or twins or your cousins, and you're coming at the same time. If you're the same household, you can make your own judgments about that. But by and large, we've asked roommates not to check in at the same time or date the max-size social distancing. All visitors must wear masks while dropping off belongings during this process. Anywhere you're outside of the residence hall room or really outside your car, you should probably be wearing a mask. Okay, and then if you can't do this drop-off period, let me talk a little bit more about, I'll do this, going to go into the move-in, and then I'll talk about room setup. If you can't do the drop-off, you're going to do main move-in, and it's going to be the 5th and 6th. Students waiting to use these dates will be, we actually let you pick them instead of assigning, so we did that. And these are reserved time spots, the same schedule, morning, midday, and afternoon. And you can stay after this point. So if you are doing main move-in, you can stay all the way up. You're going to be staying after that point, so you don't have to go home at this point. You'll be provided instruction where to park and check in. And you will receive a parking permit to stay near the building for a little bit of time to unload, but then remove to remote parking. So it's going to be a little bit different than drop off. And then if you did the drop off, and you're coming back, you're going to come back on Friday through Sunday, and that's the 7th, 8th, and 9th. And that is going to be no family, that you're not moving in with any additional support. So this might be you not actually coming back with your family. This might be you bringing your car to campus, or your family's dropping you off, and you've got that last lap. You have your bag and your laptop and those last few things you didn't bring the drop off with you, and you just come back to campus, and you come back during your period here. We're not having you sign up during this period. but it's not another move-in time. So this is not the time to start bringing in everything under the sun. Now, a few students have asked if they needed to, if they could move in during this time. You can if you have to, but you can't bring a lot of you can't have family support with you. So you might need to, get your roommate to help you move, or somebody from your building help you move, because at this point we're not allowing additional guests in the building, because we really need to make sure that the building starts becoming a safe space for students to be from a lot of different perspectives. And it's going to be very designated. This is when parking is going to start becoming regulated. And this is when we're going to start having to abide by, you can park here, but you can't park here. And so that's kind of how we're heading in. So it's going to start with drop off, moving to move in, and then moving to arrival for classes. So the drop off steps, like I've already covered, first your building will be checking in. So these are the 2 check-in locations. Just note which one you're going to. And then you head to your building with your key and fob. There's parking near the residence halls. Use the line spaces. Do not worry about parking permit signs for this drop-off process. Our parking areas are open for the event. However, do not park in handicap spaces. Do not park in, it says 24-hour tow zones. Don't do that. Don't block sidewalks. Don't stay in fire lanes. You got to actually find a parking spot. Students will be not occupying this room. You'll keep your key and fob. Don't forget to bring them back. Do talk to your roommate. Coordinate who might be bringing what. You might even actually consider, if you're doing some changes to the room setup, if you're doing some moving the furniture around, you might even want to do a Facebook, not a Facebook Live, but you might want to do a FaceTime or a video chat with your roommate saying, hey, is it okay that we move the bed here? Or is the desk okay here? That's great. That's the kind of communication level we want. But make sure you're not duplicating everything. Nobody needs 2 huge TVs. Nobody needs a million different things in the room. Take turns. Like, I'm going to bring this, I'll bring this. Bring your own hand cart, like we said. If you do use one of our carts or bins, return it to the lobby area of your building when you're finished so other people can use it. Don't keep it in your room the whole time. Just bring it back down when you can. And there is still, like I said, still that cleaning and prep occurring, as well as some maintenance work. Be observant of your surroundings. No one can spend the night. When you're finishing, please take your trash to the dumpster outside the building. Every building has got a dumpster somewhere on the perimeter. So if you have to walk around the building, you'll see it, you'll find it. Take your garbage out there, and cardboard can be left outside the dumpster, or any dumpsters labeled for cardboard specifically. We recycle cardboard. It's very important. So keep your cardboard and your trash in 2 different piles and work from that. The weather might be warm or wet, might be both at the same time. So just keep an eye out for that. We'll have water sites. We'll be limited to bottle filling only, like I already said, but we will not have our main food service. But there's lots of food options here in Greenville, so take advantage of those. Best practices for room setup. So our rooms are currently set up kind of like where they were left. We didn't change them all out because we know you're going to do it. And so we want you to have that discussion. So rooms arrival can be changed from the setup for a normal year. Beds can be on the opposite side of the rooms, and students can sleep on the opposite directions. I'm going to show you a little diagram of that in a minute. If you are in a room where the window unit, the window AC unit is at the student level, namely towards the, like in Garrett Hall, where it's in the window, or it's in Legacy, where it's at the little lower, it could sort of blow across the one student of their beds right in front of it. We don't recommend that. So you can move the bed away from that area, or you can shift the room around away from the AC unit, or the student can sleep the opposite, and you'll see that in the diagram I'm going to show you in a minute. Bunking or lofting beds can be helpful for creating space in the rooms. All of the beds are bunkable. The bed pins are generally in the main lobby somewhere if you need those pins. Keeping in mind airflow, once again, students may want to sleep in opposite directions. In the diagram you're going to see in a second, I'll really make an example. So we provided a few rough examples. I drew these myself, so don't go like, oh God, he's the worst artist in the history of the world. They are just something I drew up. So yes, it is fancy. This is high tech here. This is an example of a Legacy or Jones Hall room. You can see that there's a window unit, the AC unit. So the one student has put the desk in front of that and shifted the bed the other way. And you can see the students aren't going to be right on top of each other from sleeping perspective. It's just a better way to doing it. You're still going to be each other's space, so you need to keep an eye out for each other and make sure that you are both following social distancing outside the room. And certainly we know that having a roommate, you are going to be in each other's space, so to speak. But this can help you if, you know, just in general, any kind of cold or germ, this could keep you from breathing each other, you know, right into each other's space. So this keeps that from happening, just this simple change to the setup. Or if this was bunked, you would find that over the, you know, the two beds would be on top of each other, but the students could still shift by one sleeping in one direction and one can sleep in the other direction. It just breaks that up. So you're not breathing in, so quote, breathing in each other's air, so to speak. But don't have somebody have their head right under the AC unit. That isn't healthy on a normal basis because all that cool air. But certainly in this environment, we don't want that person's breath being blown around the entire room. This is an example from Garrett Hall, pretty much, but these general tips can work in any hall. You can see that the beds can be put in different directions in all different kind of ways in rooms. A lot of students in Garrett, for example, put the dressers in the closet. Cotton, you can put a dresser in one of the closets, and a lot of the time, some of the other buildings, if they have full closets, you can put the dresser inside the closet. A lot of students like to put the dressers inside the closet. It makes a lot of extra room in there, but there's still, you know, there's a million different ways to set up a room. Feel free to experiment with that, try that out. You might even start with something and change it 2 weeks after you arrive. I've seen rooms changed almost weekly because students keep trying and different things, and it's just kind of what they like to do with the room. I guess everybody's an emerging interior designer and they want to try out all these different things. But you can see the different general practice: sleep in different directions, space beds apart or bunk, and then don't have somebody sleep right in front of the window unit. That's not as challenging in some of our halls where the window unit is much higher than the bed. Some of our buildings, the window unit is much higher. That's Cotton, Clement, White, and Green. The AC unit's much higher up. In Tyler Hall, it's much higher up, the window unit, and therefore Fletcher Hall, it's much higher up. You don't need to worry about it being in front of the window. You don't need to worry about it being next to the bed as much as you do like in Garrett, Legacy, and Jones. So there's different situations, but just think about that as you set up your room. Okay, so I know there has been some questions, so I'm going to undo the video here and then bring up unshare here. Stop sharing and then go and bring up the dialogue here so I can see the questions. All right, let me go back up. Is maximum number of helpers you can bring? The maximum number of helpers changes depending on which event you're at. If you're doing drop-off, we're not really restricting that. All we ask is and we're going to send a reminder, folks, that about 24 hours before you arrive, that everybody sort of acknowledge that they have none of the COVID symptoms. Do a little family check. Everybody feeling okay? Everybody doing all right? Everybody done a temperature check? Do all those things the 24 hours before you arrive, because somebody sick should not be coming. But other than that, there's no restrictions. They got to wear masks. But we want you to have that day where you're bringing maybe your little brother and sister or a few other family members to help you out. If you feel comfortable coming, we feel comfortable having you. So that's for drop-off, that early move-in quote, but it's really called drop-off. For move-in, we're asking you to be limited. So that's the 5th and 6th. That's if you don't do drop-off, you do move-in. We're asking you to limit yourself to the 2 helpers from the same household. So they don't need to necessarily be from your household, but make sure that those 2 helpers are from preferably the same household. So much smaller grouping, a little bit more smaller. We're just trying to be a little bit more restrictful and thoughtful about that. If you're just because your schedule, you have to do move-in during the return to campus days, we're asking that you don't bring anybody into the building, that you move yourself in, and maybe you get your roommate to come down and help you or something like that. But at that point, we're not asking for extra guests to be in the building because we're trying to keep the building safe for everybody. So I think I answered a number of things about the helpers. The diagram's perfect. I would not call it perfect, but thank you, Hallie. You're very considerate to say that. And if you ordered your loft in advance, those have been delivered. If there's any problem with you, there's a crew that will come fix that. are students allowed to pick up parking passes at early drop-off? I believe they're mailing those. You can check with parking on that, but I will try to get that information and post that on our Facebook. So look on the Campus Living Facebook later on. I'll try to get the answer to that one. So what other questions do you have? I'm here as a resource, and I want to make sure that I'm answering all the questions. And of the orientation staff, think of something I haven't thought of, or I missed something, or they're like, I think Aaron confused me more than I helped. Let me know, and I will try to clarify what I did.
Hi, Aaron. I think there's a question in the Q&A, and it's asking, what day does the dining halls open?
The dining halls are open for those 5th and 6th dates. So for if you're moving in for move-in, the dining halls will be open for you at that time. And then going forward. Let's see. Other questions? Let's see if I can think of anything else I did not cover. Next week, there'll be an email going out about what we call our resident handbook. So take some time to review that. Do make sure if you have not covered our what to bring and what not to bring list, it's on our Facebook, it's on our website as well. That's really important. We have students show up with things that are not allowed sometimes, and we don't want them, and that's not, so. A few things I'll cover about some common questions too about electrical. Let's see, without having been in the room, if we say they need to go to the store for drawers, whatever, as long as it's that day, the student asked without having to see if the rooms, if there's any storage for drawers and all, the 3 hours be long enough. You can fudge the 3 hours. We're not kicking you off. That's just a window. Like I said, if you arrive a little bit late in that window, that might be a good thing too, so nobody doesn't have to be here right at 9 o'clock. If you drift into the next time period a little bit, it's not a big deal. We're being pretty respectful of that. Or you can always bring back those drawers or tubs with your when you come back to return to campus as well, if there's something else you picked up here. But if you need to play around with that, if you need to pop back to your room, that room will have the building unlocked for the whole day until a little after 6. The last window ends at 6, and so we'll keep the buildings unlocked till a little after 6. So as long as you're done by then, in terms of popping back to put some of the other items in there and keeping away from your roommate's family if they're there too, you can bring back something if you need to. But that's only during those drop-off days. And then the one card is going to be available if you've done the app and have actually submitted and had an approved photo. Those are going to be at the new student center that was on the bottom of the last email that we sent out, and that is our brand new student center. I'm trying to, oh, there's the Q&A box. There it is. So sorry, I was missing that there was a separate Q&A box. My bad. There we go. Thank you. All right. Yes, you can tour around campus during your drop-off. Not all the buildings were open. That's covered. Dining halls are going to be open during move-in. And then we encourage you, if you're coming all the way to Greenville and you get your move-in window done, you can stay in town, check things out a little bit, drive around town, show people, go check out the stadium a little bit, whatever you'd like to do. Feel free that you don't just run to Greenville and the only thing you're doing is seeing your residents all around. Take advantage of those things. So you can tour around, but yeah, some of the buildings will be locked. Okay. Ethernet and coax cable. All of our buildings have wired internet if you need it. Our Wi-Fi is pretty good. So you'll need that for our wired connection. And all of our buildings, except for Green Hall, doesn't have wired connections. It's only wireless. Then also coax, we don't have cable in the student rooms. There's some cable in the lobbies. Most people do the streaming thing anyway. So, or you can bring an antenna to pick up the local channels too. One of those, you can buy an antenna that works with most TVs and pick up all the, your ABCs and NBCs and your CBSs locally. A question about power cables that we often get is we used to recommend everybody bring surge protectors, but that's sort of changed over the years. We ask that you bring a power strip with a fuse. It doesn't necessarily need to be a surge protector, and if you're in Scott or Gateway or Clement or Green or White don't bring a surge protector. Those buildings have surge power protectors built into them already, and therefore surge protectors can mess them up. So those buildings, you just want to bring a power strip with a fuse. Do not bring a cheap extension cord without like a power strip on it or a fuse switch, because we want you to have that extra safety of the fuse switch. And that's pretty much any, if you see anything with multiple outlets these days, typically it already has a switch on it, and that's a fuse switch. So if it has an on-off switch, typically it's a fuse switch, and it's a safety feature that we want to see on the outlets. So I think I've covered the questions from the chat, and I think I got them from down below. Oh, how long can your car stay in the parking lot by the residence hall, or is there another lot to move in? During drop-off, they can stay pretty much all day. We are going to have lots of parking for that. During move-in, you will receive a parking permit when you pick up your keys, and that will tell you where you can park to move into your building, and then where you can park after you finish dropping your stuff off a little farther from the residence hall. So you'll get your keys, unload your car, move your car, go back to your room, set it up, do what you need to do, and you're moved in, if that makes any sense about that. So, other questions? Yes, on the early move-in day, the drop-off period, you can bring as many cars as you want. So the person asked if they can have 2 permits. On the move-in day, you can have multiple permits too, if you need to. Just ask, once again, that when you're done dropping your stuff off, don't set up the whole room and do whatever. You drop your stuff off, move your car, and then come back and set up your room, because we need those parking spots on those move-in days for the next student moving in. Other questions? These are great questions, by the way. Thank you. Okay. Well, last thing, a few things I want to talk to you guys as students about is a few things here. We just had a session with the parent and family group as well, and we talked about this, and it's a really important thing at the end. Oh, let's see. Was there another question here? The keys for drop off, you pick them up at the neighbor. There's instructions on the email of where you meet. College Hill, it's at Gateway, and West End and Central, it's at West End Dining. And that's a good question. Thank you, Jacob. So a few things though about checking in with your roommate. Really do check in with your roommate. Talk to your roommate also about staying safe. And I'm going to say, talk to each other about staying safe. We're doing a lot of different things. Extra cleaning. We're doing an extended move-in. We're doing all these things to keep you safe and enhance the safety. But then you as a student go off to a off-campus party that's not allowed and that's supposed to be happening, and there's lots of people there and they're not socially distancing, and there's a lot of unsmart things happening. You can undo all the things we're working on. And if you know your roommate's doing that, or you know your roommate's safety is involved, if you get sick, they're gonna, they got to worry about getting sick too. You got to think about each other. And I really encourage you to do that. If you want ECU to stay in session, you want the college experience, it's going to be a different college experience this year. Don't worry. The rest of the college experience is waiting for you out there, and it's going to happen at some point. You got 4 years here at ECU, maybe a little less, maybe a little bit more, but you got basically 4 years at ECU. That I can assure you at some point that normal college experience, and I'm going to put quotes around normal because they're all unique. Every year is unique. And I put a lot of things about how unique this is and how historic it is. They're all unique and historic. I remember a lot of them even after 25 years. But this is going to be a special one. But note that we're going to get, quote, back to normal at some point. And but how we're going to do that is we're going to have students follow the recommendations we have going on. So talk to your parents, talk to yourselves, pep yourself up that, I'm going to be tempted. I'm going to want to be social and go out to everything. But I'm at the same time, I want to be safe. And I want to keep my roommates safe. I want to keep my floor safe. I want to keep my building safe. I want to keep ECU going instead of having to go back to online or something like that. I want to keep myself safe. So just think about that as you go through and really, pep yourself up to know that football will, the normal football season, the normal this, the normal that, all the events that we do are going to be back at some point. And the more we do now is more likely those are going to be back sooner. So just keep that in mind. Wear your mask, wash your hands, and keep 6 feet apart, as possible. And those are the important things. So that's my little pep talk about it. And I appreciate you doing that. Any last questions? And oh, hang on. The cable, the TV areas are going to be open. Once again, we're asking people to social distancing, and we have some questions about cooking. And at this point, we are going to keep the kitchens open with the same occupancy limit, saying that really only 1 student or maybe 2 students, depending on the side of the kitchen, should be inside it. And all those things will probably be in place for move-in, those signage. Right now, for drop-off, you might see the lobbies are going to look a little bit more normal. We might move some of the furniture around, but at this point, the kitchen areas are going to be open. That might change depending on recommendations that we're getting. Also, once again, if students are using it safely, we most likely will keep it open. If students are using it unsafe and making unsafe decisions, we're going to close that because we need to support that safe decision making. Good, outstanding questions. My loft won't be delivered. You can maybe try to gather some family members. Well, August 3rd, you can bring those family members in on the 5th and 6th to do that, or as a part of drop-off, your roommate will be there. Maybe you can get another neighbor by side, put their mask on, go into your room and help you do the loft setup. The loft setup, there's a video on the loft company's website, College Products, that shows you how to do it. It can be done without tools, and it's really easy. You'd be surprised how easy it is to put the loft together. You'd be really surprised. You can visit other residence halls. As residence hall students, we're asking no non-residence hall students. That is the update. So after we get past move-in dates and we go into return to campus, we're going to ask that only residence hall students visit other residence hall students. Namely, you're not inviting your upper class friends or your off-campus friends or your friends from back home to visit you during this time. So it is only other residence hall students right now. Okay. I think I caught all the questions, and I think I got everything else. Anything else from the OAs I need to put in there? Any other reminders you want to put in, Karen?
You just got one other question that says, are we required to wear a mask in the residence halls during the year?
In the lobby areas, yes. On your floor, going to the bathroom, we're going to say no. As long as you're maintaining social distance. I mean, and now if you're visiting a room, a next door neighbor, and they're not part of your close group of friends, I'd say wear a mask as a courtesy. It's going to be a lot of self-determination about that, but we're going to ask, say on your floor, you can have a little bit more normal experience. But if it both, if you're going to help somebody do something and you're going to the room, you might want to flip your mask on. But certainly not in the restroom. We can't have you shower in a mask. But in those environments, we would ask that you keep 6 feet distance and that you are maintaining social distancing in those spaces. And the good thing about most of all of our restrooms, there's dividers between the showers, and they're pretty big. So you're not right on top of anybody. But just be thoughtful about it. If you're at the sinks and there's one person at one sink, skip a sink and go to the next one, or go all the way down to the other side. Be thoughtful about that as you're in the bathroom, because you're not wearing your mask, you're brushing your teeth, you're doing your stuff. This is the environment you need to be maintaining and making those decisions for yourself. Great, awesome questions, by the way. All right, well, thank you very much for the time today. I truly appreciate it. We are so excited. It's been hectic. It's been a little crazy around here getting ready for you. You've emailed us that and it's taken us a few days to get back to you. We apologize, but it has been a hectic run to get ready for this early arrival. But we were so excited about it for start. The one thing, and it was a great quote earlier, somebody said, when you pack things, remember to pack your patience. It's going to be a little warm. It's going to maybe a little wet depending on the day, but at the same time, it's going to also, something new that we haven't done before. So if it's not going perfectly, we're going to tweak it and work on it. But we ask that you bring your patience, pack your patience with you. Also, keep checking your email, because if we learn something from day one and we change something for day two, we're going to email those out to folks. So keep an eye out your email. So even like the morning of you're coming to campus, you might want to check your ECU email one last time to see if there's any updates from us. So any changes, make sure that you are ready and we're ready for you. So thank you very much for the time today. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Aaron. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my computer froze, so I wasn't sure if you could hear me or not. All right, well, thank you so much, and thanks everyone for joining us today. We will close caption this and then put it on our orientation website for review once it has been captioned. If you need any other disability support accommodations, then if you'll just contact Disability Support Services or our office, we'll be happy to do that for you. Our next sessions coming up are the Q&R with the OAs tonight, parent edition at 7 o'clock. So if we have some parents on with us today, you can join us tonight for that, and that is on Facebook Live. And then tomorrow night, we'll be having a session about multicultural student experience at ECU, and that will be a panel that will be at 7 p.m. It is a WebEx, and so the login information will be on our website. So thanks again for joining us today, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.